Hey, what's going on, YouTube? I am live. I am alive. Great to see everybody on my channel on YouTube. And I have some mail from the mailbag. And the mailbag is all of my different social media. I will get direct messages on these various social media channels. I put a link below to each of my social media channels. And when I get a direct message, I will often respond with, "Are you okay with me bringing this up on YouTube live?" Because the one thing that annoys me about direct message questions is not everyone gets to benefit from them when I respond just directly. So here is a bunch that we're going to go through. I hope you can gain something from these discussions that we have. The first one is from Kevin. This was via my Facebook page. Kevin says, "Hey, Anthony, I'm currently a tech at a pretty large hospital in my area. I've been around tech all my life, been taking apart computers and putting them back together ever since Windows 3.0. My question is, what would you recommend for someone that's wanting to start out as phone support? He has a sister that is wanting to get started." Kevin, great question. I actually did a free course on this very subject, how you would get started in phone support / desktop support. So I want you to check that out. Go to cbtnuggets.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and under the courses info, you'll see Intro to IT, a link. Click on that. And what you're going to find is a whole bunch of different intro to IT courses completed by all of, or most of, or I think maybe even all of the CBT Nugget trainers. We all jumped in and took a topic in intro to IT that we were really passionate about. And we did a full training course on it. So check mine out, have your sister check it out. It's Intro to Desktop Support. There's even a quiz at the end and a cert that she can print out. So it'll be her first certification. Pretty cool stuff. So be sure to check that out. Kevin, thanks for the great question. One moment here, I'm going to take a sip of my non-alcoholic beer. I finally found one of these that doesn't taste like horse piss. All right. Next up is, I'll say the last name because I'm not sure on the first name. The last name's D'Souza. D'Souza asked me, and this was via my blog site in a private email, "I want to study Cisco from scratch. I don't have any knowledge. Where would I start and what materials would I use?" We see questions like this a lot, us IT cert trainers, and it might be that you don't want to start with Cisco. If you have no knowledge of IT, I wouldn't necessarily recommend jumping right into Cisco because I don't necessarily think they're going to have the they're going to have very Cisco-centric beginning materials and beginning steps. Why not back up a moment and why not look at information technology from a vendor neutral perspective? And that's where I really love CompTIA. One of the many areas that they excel in is getting people their start in information technology and not being tied to any one vendor specific solution or things of that nature. Now, if you are an A+ person or Network Plus person, this means that you know computer technology well, you know networking technology well. I don't care if you have those certs, just you have that knowledge. Now, yeah, you absolutely dive into Cisco. And if you're in that position and you want to get started in Cisco, then by all means, you want to start right now with the CCENT or ICND1 training from Cisco Systems. But the big point that I want to make here is, again, take an honest assessment of where you are, because many people, I don't think, should start at ICND1. As far as ICND1 materials go, I'll put some links below this live stream. Yeah, the beauty of starting my Cisco career with ICND1 is the only issue you're going to have is finding the materials that are best for you. There is such a wealth of materials out there, it's not crazy. So a tip on that is figure out how you best want to study. Is it mainly going to be videos or is it mainly textbooks? Do you need lab practice? I'm sure you do. So how are you going to do that? So just, you're going to assemble the pieces that work best for you. And we've got some live audience members here, and I have open live chat. So if you have a question and you're in my live stream audience, let me know. Okay, so here's a couple that are via my Facebook, and they are AWS specific, 2 of them. So that's pretty cool. Mariano asks, hey, Mariano here from New York City. Ooh, I'm from Boston, right? Don't trash talk Yankees stuff. And yes, I'm very afraid of the Yankees this season. They look lethal. Anyways, I just got my AWS Solutions Architect, Mariano. Congratulations. That is clearly killer. How do I translate years of networking and systems support into a valid vehicle to help me transition into AWS architecting? I do support fully distributed systems in AWS, but they were there already. Basically, how do I get my first break? Interesting. So you want to, be a solutions architect for AWS. Great. You got the cert. Great. You currently support solutions. Awesome. I really, really think that you need to stop thinking so much about the first break. This question really had me take a look at my own life and my own, wait a minute, let's back up. My own career, just one part of my life, a big part, but just one part of my life. And there was never a big break. So if I go all the way back to what my main passion is, I do a lot of things to make money, but the number one thing that I make money with and the number one thing that I enjoy is video training. Thanks, CBT Nuggets. So there was no big break in that aspect of my career. When I first started training in IT, I was having to train Word and PowerPoint, and I did a class on internet for seniors, and I had to tell this nice gentleman in the front row that the mouse wasn't to be driven on his screen. True story. No, leave the mouse on the table. You don't drive it across the screen. So I knew I wanted to train higher end technology than just Microsoft Office and internet for seniors, but there wasn't a big break. No, I started studying MCSE from Microsoft and things like that. And because of the evaluation scores that I had received in the training I had done, and because of my, great performance in those exams and things like that, I was selected in my training center to start teaching the higher end stuff, but it was not a big break moment. So do the little things that are going to lend you to that career you want of AWS Solutions Architect. There's going to be a whole bunch of little things that you can start doing that will add up to this big turning point, but it's not really a big break. There is no shortcut oftentimes to where we want to end up going. And that's happened every single time in my training career where I was like, whoa, this is it. I've reached the pinnacle. And then I realized, wait a minute, there is a whole bunch of little stuff that I could be working on that could take this even to the next level. So I hope that helps you I know it's not the answer you're looking for, like, oh, just go over to this website and post your resume there. But I hope you can benefit from what we were just talking about. We have a live stream question. Anthony, I'm asking this because of your surname. Do you speak Portuguese? I do not. I am so bummed about that. So I don't speak Portuguese. My father doesn't speak Portuguese. My grandfather from Portugal spoke Portuguese, and I sure wish that had proliferated through the family. I'm right now learning everyday Spanish thanks to Duolingo, another sponsor of this live stream. What a fun app to learn Spanish with. Yo estudio español todos los días en mi teléfono. Boy, the pronunciation on this name is going to be tough for me. I think it would be pronounced Juste. J-U-S-T-E. I apologize. Don't know the pronunciation there. Thank you, Anthony, for the skills you share with us. Talk to us about AWS instances and regions. How are they created and expanded? And why doesn't Amazon have any region in Africa? Great question. So Amazon Web Services is spanning the globe, and they are consistently adding new data centers and new facilities, and those are concentrated. The biggest grouping is called a region, and I don't know their exact criteria for where we will put a region. I'm sure one of the huge criteria, well, we know several of the big criteria. It has to be a relatively safe place to put the region. So they're not going to put the region in, the North Pole. They'd upset Santa, but they'd also have environmental factors that they wouldn't be able to deal with. So they're looking for these like safe places. They're also putting them in massively population concentrated areas, and they're also looking for great bandwidth opportunities. These regions need incredible bandwidth, but don't forget, outside of a region that consists of what Amazon calls availability zones. So in a big region, we have availability zones, and in the availability zones, there's multiple data centers, but you can't forget about something: edge locations. That's another component, and the edge locations are located outside of the regions in many cases, and that's what you have in Africa. So AWS doesn't have a region yet, and I hope I'm not wrong, because remember, they're adding infrastructure all the time, and they're adding infrastructure at a faster rate than ever. So that's interesting, that more availability zones, more edge locations, more regions are being added faster than ever in their history. So as I speak to you, there may be a region in Africa. I don't know, but I know there's edge locations in Africa, and those edge locations can get resources to you as a AWS architect and to the clients that want to consume your AWS resources. The latency can be reduced dramatically when we're in Africa because we can pull the content from one of the edge locations that's in Africa. So thanks for that question. And we all got to review availability zones, the global infrastructure of AWS. It's a region. Inside there are availability zones. Inside those are data centers. And then edge locations all over the world. Another question from our live audience: in your opinion, do you think a person that wants to be a CCIE data center should be first a CCIE route switch? What a great question. It is completely necessary, in my opinion, to have the equivalent knowledge, for the most part, of CCIE core routing and switching before you would want to launch into CCIE data center. So I guess my direct answer would be, if you're just going to get one CCIE and you want it to be data center, no, don't go through the incredible amount of work that CCIE route switch would require, but take the CCIE route switch blueprint and go in there and identify those core topics that you absolutely need for data center. For instance, border gateway protocol. This is the language most often in and out of our data center from a routing perspective. So yeah, you would want to know that and know that real well. So there would be topics in there that I think are very, very important for you. But if you're just going to do one CCIE and it's not going to be route switch, don't muddy the waters there. Many people like me started route switch and then either went on to other CCIEs, which made it a lot easier, or they just, right now I'm on just CCIE hiatus, right? Because I'm involved in so many different technology areas, cloud and stuff like that. So I'm glad I did route switch first, even though I was thinking, I'll have 5 CCIEs by the time I'm 50. Not going to happen. So I hope that really helps. If I ever decide to get CCIE data center or CCIE security, those are going to be so much easier thanks to the CCIE route switch. But I didn't really have to have that cert, just the knowledge of the key areas. Okay, finally, we have from John via Facebook. Hi, Anthony. Hope you're doing well. Just finished your MD 100 course on CBT Nuggets. You're an awesome teacher. This John, he knows his stuff. I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to bother you for some advice. I currently do not hold any certs. Been working in the IT field for over 10 years. I've decided that I'm going to go for the MD 100 and MD 101 tests and get certified and go from there. My question is, now that I'm done with the course, should I jump to MD 101 and then jump back to MD 100, or drill down on MD 100 till I have it, then move on? What a great question. I wanted to bring this question up in the live stream because this is an interesting answer from me. Let me give you a comparison. With someone going for their CCNA in Cisco, I would always tell them, look, don't mess this up. Don't try and start studying for certifications down the road. Focus on step 1, ICND 1. And when you've got that crushed, then start focusing on ICND 2. But in the Windows 10 exam environment that this learner, John, is talking about, there's 2 Windows 10 exams, MD 100 and MD 101, and Microsoft did, I don't know if it was on purpose, I don't know if it was accidental, but sure enough, in the MD 100, there was MD 101 topics being challenged. And I was just taking the MD 100 thinking to myself, wow, I feel bad for the learners that aren't familiar with the content of MD 101, because a lot of that is sneaking into this test. I'm not suggesting it's enough to fail you, no, but it's just always weird when you see a technology that you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't on my exam objectives. So if I were doing those exams over again in your position as a learner, I honestly think I would do it this way. I would study and, go through my videos for MD 100, and then I would go through the videos for MD 101. Then I would drop back to MD 100 and really start, beating that up even harder, and then go take the MD 100 test. And you're going to feel so great, because if any technologies from MD 101 come up, you're fine with those. You now passed MD 100. Now go back to your MD 101 course and really beat that one up, and then go take that test. So many people report that they'll watch my videos 2 or 3 times and then go test. And one of those times they'll be note-taking. Great. I'm just suggesting do that differently. So you'd watch MD 100, MD 101, then go back to MD 100, rewatch if you need to, note take if you need to. And I think that would be a great way to attack those 2 exams. Well, all right, I got it done in 20 minutes. That was my goal, to go through the mailbag in 20 minutes. I want to thank everyone for the questions that we got in the live stream. I'd like to thank the wonderful people at Klosthaller, if that's how you pronounce that, for their awesome non-alcoholic beer. Had a few beers during the podcast. And thanks everyone for joining me in this YouTube live stream. Maybe there is alcohol in here. And I'll try and do this often with these direct messages that I get. I hope they're of benefit to you. Thanks so much for stopping by.